Hello friends, I am Dr. Amarjit Kaur. I am Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at Gurugram University. I am heading the Department of Management as Chairperson and Faculty of Commerce and Management as Dean. I am author of 8 books and 54 research papers. This is my privilege that I am present this day here to talk on barriers to listening. So it's a very good, very important topic. We will be covering this topic into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2 today itself. So friends, let's think that is there any workplace where listening is not important, or in your life, in personal life, is listening not important? So listening is the most important activity we do as human beings, and as per the research, listening is the second most important activity, physical activity which we do after breathing. It means all through the days after breathing, whatever the most any human being would do is the listening process, right? So it's such an important activity happening every day, every minute. You guys are listening to me, right? You are parallelly maybe listening to your parents, your friends around. So listening is such an important activity that everyone on this earth will indulge into it. Now when it comes to business communication, listening becomes more important, because at a workplace the most important thing is that any managerial post, be it mid-level, top level, low level, and especially the more we go higher in the ladder, this listening process, the listening activity becomes more important. As they say, give ear to others. Most of the problems are solved if you give ear to others. It means you give hearing, listening, a patient hearing to others, if you listen to others. So most of the times problems are resolved if you give your ears to others, you spend some time with others in listening their concern, suggestion, problem. Right? So it's so important. Now it's a very critical leadership skill, in fact. So listening is just not an activity, though we all know it's a human activity, but it's just not an activity when it comes to business. It is a very important critical leadership skill, right? So, but the point is, there are many things which will pull down the attention of the listener, which may cause problem in the listening process. So effective listening is different thing, listening is a different. So listening is happening all the time. After breathing, we are doing listening as an activity, every day, every minute. But is that listening effective or not will depend upon many factors. And what all those are the barriers which causes, ineffective listening, or which are the barriers to effective listening. That's what we are going to discuss today here. So, as I said, listening activity can be accomplished effectively if the person who is listening, the receiver of the message, recognizes what is being said, understands it, and then finally interprets it effectively. So there are 3 things. You are able to recognize as a receiver, you understand what has been said, and then you are able to interpret it effectively, what the speaker or the sender has said. That's how the effective listening takes place. So what is going to be the barriers to the effective listening? The barrier to effective listening is that something which hinders, which hinders you from recognizing, from understanding accurately, or interpreting the message accurately. So that's what is the barrier. So receiver and the sender, they are the 2 persons involved in the message. So sender is sending the message either speaking on phone or in front of you. So that's how the listening is happening. But you are not able to receive it because of couple of hindrances. Those are what we call them as barriers. So we are going to discuss them in detail now. So we can divide those hindrances, those barriers to listening into 6 parts. environmental barriers, linguistic or semantic barriers, psychological barriers, emotional or personal barriers, social or cultural barriers, and finally the physiological barriers. So we will cover the three types of barriers in the first part of this session, and the remaining three we will discuss in the second part. So I expect you with me for the whole time. Okay, so let's discuss the first category of barriers, environmental distraction or environmental barriers or hindrances you may call. So the environmental distractions, first important is the physical distraction. Okay, so let's say, I am speaking to you, and parallelly there's someone else standing close to me. He's also speaking to someone else. Let's say we are traveling in metro. Okay, so we are friends and we are talking to each other, but there's another person standing in between, very close to us, and his elbow is coming, in front of my eyes or my mouth or your eyes, your face. What will happen? That would be taken as physical distraction. So somebody sitting or standing close by and making a distraction in between the two people who are communicating, or maybe more than two people. Listening could be that one person is speaking and there are many more people who are listening. This could be a public address, right? There could be some physical distraction. If you have ever noticed in a seminar hall, in an auditorium, at certain places standing cameras are displayed, speakers are displayed, and the seats close to that area where a speaker is displayed or installed, or let's say some camera is installed, the people close to that place, so they find difficulty at concentrating to the speaker who is speaking from the dais or at the stage. Now you can hear what he is saying or she is saying, but you may miss the physical expression of the person, and that is the point. Somebody may be speaking and also using the physical action, signs. So what will happen? You may not be able to interpret the message completely. So these are the examples of physical distraction. So these are the environmental distraction which are causing causing or leading to ineffective listening. Okay, loud talking. Somebody is so loud or so slow in speaking, or somebody is around is talking very loud. Sometimes we are teaching as teachers, and let's say I'm delivering my lecture in the classroom, and suddenly there's a class from the next room just gets over little early before the time, and the students, let's say 60 students passes by the corridor. What will happen? There would be loud noise, right? Loud talking by those students, and this will distract what I was telling you. You guys, if you were the student in the classroom, you won't be able to listen what was being said. Or at this moment when you are listening this lecture or this live lecture, if you have a distraction nearby, some loudspeaker, somebody in the family puts on the TV on at high speed, somebody puts on the music, you will get distracted, right? So you may miss few words, you may miss the complete sentence before the person shuts down the TV. So that's how these are the environmental distraction around us causing ineffective listening. Visual barriers, what happens? Let's say I'm talking on phone and I'm traveling. I'm in car and I'm traveling. So I was listening to my friend's conversation. She was making some very serious comments on, or she was sharing something serious about her life, and I suddenly saw some hoarding, some board, some hoarding where let's say where a mobile phone has been displayed that this has been launched yesterday, and that mobile phone was the instrument I was trying or I was targeting to buy as soon as it comes into the market. I was not aware it has been launched yesterday, right? So I will get excited about that hoarding more than the serious talk I was listening of my friends, isn't it? There could be a beautiful female picture posing something, there could be a man talking about something, there could be a product which you are very much interested and you got, so that is a visual distraction, right? So visual barrier causes distraction in the listening process, and these all are together known as environmental distraction, right? Now the second category, the semantic or the linguistic barriers, are very important. We come across, we deal with them every day. Okay, so the first one is the speaker's style of speaking. A few people are very fast in their spoken language, few people are very slow, few people have a different accent. No one is perfect, as we know, and everyone has different style of speaking. So the style of speaker could be such that the receiver could not get the message clearly. So this is what we call as linguistic barrier or semantic barrier. This hinders the effective communication process, right? The second is information overload. I started from one point, I shared something else, and if I am keeping on loading you with more and more information, what will happen? You may not pay attention, or you may not be able to get the crux of the message or the importance of what I am trying to tell, because I am overloading with the information. I am sharing so much together at one moment, in one go, without making a break, without sharing with you now we are going to discuss this thing. So if I am just adding one after the another point and different directions, it happens sometime. You may have noticed in the classroom, sometimes professors get excited about the subject they are talking, or they come across something important that day. They may off track, they may go off track and may discuss something which was not related to the topic, and topic was not covered completely, and now you as a student you are wondering what was the topic actually. So was this the story professor started sharing at the end, or what was the actual message or the learning out of the class? This happens many a times. So information overloads may happen at a business place as well. Let's say you are presenting and you were supposed to be presenting about the sales growth in particular area, but so we need to refer to certain other connected issues, but you as a presenter, you actually went so deep into the other issues which were actually the side issues than the real issue, then the sales target or the sales progress of the zone you were talking about. What will happen? All the participants, also whosoever who was part of the meeting, would actually be getting so much more information about the irrelevant topics or the subject than what you were supposed to be talking. So this is the example of information overload, right? Then the next is speaking manners of the person. Sometimes people are, the manners are, they use so many hands, like what I'm trying to do right away in front of you, so much eyes expression, nod, you don't know he's saying yes or saying no. Somebody is nodding this way as well as this way, saying saying something positive but nodding this way. This is confusing. The manners of the person, in India, generally when we nod this way means yes, right, and this way is no, right, but somebody may be doing opposite, maybe talking positive or yes but nodding like this. So my speaking manners are different, right? So I'm using so much hand gestures, so much leg tapping, hand tapping. So the listener, the person whom you are speaking to, he would actually pay more attention to those things which you are doing than what the message is. So the message may not get delivered effectively, and these manners may turn out as hindrances in the effective communication, right? Then the next point I would like to make is that the vocabulary and the jargons we use. If I am not using the vocabulary which which the speaker may not know, certainly speaker will not get the listener may not get the message what the speaker is supposed to be delivering. That's a very common thing. If you have to any time deal with the lawyer, deal with the doctor, and doctor doesn't know the simple language of the technical word or the drug he is referring to, and he uses the same language to communicate to you as well, or same word or the same vocabulary. So what will happen? You may not comprehend what the doctor is saying. Same thing a lawyer. If the lawyer is using the technical language completely in very pure technical language of the law, so you as a layman, as a listener, may not get the message, right? Somebody is using jargons. So there are so many jargons used in the business world, and you are presenting, let's say, in a meeting, and you since you are at a mid level, there are so many junior people who just joined the organization. They were very new to the simple jargons, simple terms like EBIT, PI. So PAT, if I'm using let's say bottom line, top line, these are the jargons very common in the business world. So but I'm a new joinee, I just joined the office last day, and I'm not sure what bottom line is, what top line is. We all know, people who have some experience, they may know it very well, that the person is referring to sales revenue and person is talking about the profit margins, right? But you were new to the organization, and you have no idea. You could not gather what he or she is trying to say. So we have to take care of who are my audience, who is the person I am communicating to, right? So this is what it is. Then the time lag. So time lag is basically that there is a gap in the message when said and the received. That may happen, especially when we are using some electronic device, mobile, Zoom video, this telecast on internet. So if there is a time lag in when the word is being spoken by the person, by the speaker, and received by the listener. If there is a time gap, this can cause an issue in actually getting the message. You just imagine, many a times you may have experienced in the last 2 years of corona times, that whenever you are attending any online meeting, be it on Zoom, be it on any other platform, Google or any other platform, what happens? Sometimes somebody has slow internet. So the when whatever person says, we have facial expressions with that, right? Eye speaks something, lip speaks, your cheek speaks, so your total face speaks something along with your words. Verbal words have only 7% effectiveness, right? Remaining 93% is non-verbal communication, as we all know, as a part of the total communication. This is what I have mentioned many a time. So what happens if there's internet connectivity issue, the connection is slow, so my words may reach little later, or my word may reach little early than my facial expression, my picture is slow, right? So there's mismatch between what I'm saying orally and what my eyes are saying, right? So so that causes as a barrier, that becomes as a barrier in the communication, right? The next is mispronounced words. So you wanted to say something and you could not communicate the exact word, you could not pronounce it correctly, so the person may get confused who is listening to you. He or she may not be able to understand exactly what was the meaning. And if such thing happens many a times, single pronouncement, somebody may put 2 and 2 together and comprehend the message. But if somebody is very regularly mispronounces words, then there's a likelihood that there's going to be gap in communication. means it is going to become as a hindrance in effective communication. The next point I would like to make is that there are words which are of double meaning, right? For example, there and there. I am speaking, right? So lie and lie. So there are a couple of words, many words, weak and weak. Okay, so there are many such words which have double meaning. So we have to take care of the tone when we are using any such word which has double meaning as a speaker. And if the speaker doesn't do that, what will happen? The listener will not be able to comprehend. He will struggle if he or she is not very good in vocabulary and could not use his own sense to understand that this weak word was used or this, or that word was used, then it becomes hindrance, right? So this is the semantic or the linguistic barrier. Lastly, it could be the speed of the speech. If I am being so fast, you would have seen many people who are very, very fast in their speech. That becomes a hindrance certainly in the effective communication, right? So it is a semantic barrier or linguistic barrier. Well friends, moving forward, now we will talk about psychological barriers. So these are the barriers which are based on our thoughts rather than our feelings, because emotions and psychological barriers, emotional barriers and psychological barriers are little different, right? Most of the people, and especially a layman, will take them almost same. Agreed, they all belong to human behavior, human feelings, emotions, but nevertheless, and the thoughts of course. So nevertheless, we differentiate between psychological barriers and emotional barriers. It's just the better understanding may lead to better communication, more effective communication. From that perspective, I would like to discuss this heading. Okay, so the psychological barriers, as I said, they are based on our thoughts. So the psychology, the thoughts we have. So first of all, inability to pay attention. How does it causes hindrance? There are many people who will talk to you that I can't concentrate. यार मैं concentrate ही नहीं कर पाता, मैं attention ही नहीं दे पाता, मैम क्या कह रही हैं, सर क्या कह रहे हैं. You would have heard this many a times, right? So that happens, and that causes actually to comprehend the message effectively. So that becomes as a barrier, hindrance in the communication. Second reason is that somebody who has a closed mind, very closed mind, that somebody comes with a closed mind that I will not listen to, or I will say this. So the person is actually listening with a very closed mind that he is a cheater, he is a bad person, he is a very good person. So if person assumes that he is a very good person without thinking or without what he or she is saying, at this moment he may be talking something mean, but you have such a closed mind that you could not understand the meaning of what person is saying, right? Daydreaming, another cause. This is also because people who have thoughts coming in their mind and these thoughts causes an issue. You have a daydreaming, somebody is talking to you, he's speaking something, but you are dreaming about something, that I would have a Ferrari someday in my in my hand, or that girl in my class would be my girlfriend. You are dreaming something, so you are not listening to professor. It happens many a times. You are not listening to your mother, your father who is saying something to you. That could be something important even, right? So daydreaming, actually thoughts coming to you, to your mind, and causing hindrance in the communication. Somebody is talking to you. Then another is we have prejudices, judgments. We have certain judgments about a topic. So we have prejudice about a person, we have a prejudice about the topic of the subject, we are jealous. These are the things which also causes as you become as a barrier in the effective communication. So we can't comprehend what the speaker is saying because we are so jealous about him, we are so jealous about something, so we feel envy and we can't understand exactly, because barrier means your communication becomes ineffective. We can't understand, or we could not take the meaning of the subject which is said to us as it is what the speaker wanted to communicate, right? Our ego, if we have ego in our mind, so approach would be that he doesn't know something, she doesn't know anything, I know more than him, I know more than her. So we are egoist, then we will not be able to understand the message. The person may be talking something very important, he or she may be talking some good sense about the subject, but you will not be able to comprehend it properly because you have ego in your mind, you have prejudgment, so you have judgment about the topic, about the subject, about the person, about the situation you are in, about the room you are, or the place you are at, and you will not listen to the person who is speaking about something. Okay. Then another very important, that the urge to debate or to answer is something which which become as a barrier. You don't pay attention to what your mother is saying because you are ready to argue. You are thinking about your argument. You are thinking about what logic or reply you will give, and sometimes you become defensive when you are listening, and this is what all causes as a barrier. So these were psychological barrier and very, very important to think about, to dwell on. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you, friends.